All right, so let's start with the big story that we are tracking on WION this hour, where Moderna and Pfizer's slow vaccine rollout has pretty badly affected the vaccination program in Canada. So Canada has now placed a request for about 1 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines from India's Serum Institute. With several vaccine manufacturing facilities, India is of course fast emerging as the key supplier of the coronavirus vaccines for the rest of the world. Now, Canada does not have any vaccine manufacturing facilities of its own and is reliant on foreign suppliers. And Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau reportedly called up his Indian counterpart, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, informing him about Canada's requirements for more COVID-19 vaccines. The potentially easing shortages that are being faced in the country, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi has assured to do the best to support Canada's vaccination efforts. The Prime Minister Narendra Modi has put out a tweet where he said that he was actually happy to receive the call from his Canadian counterpart Justin Trudeau and that India will facilitate the supply of COVID-19 vaccines that are being sought by Canada. A statement from Trudeau's office read, the two leaders spoke about India's significant efforts in promoting vaccine production and supply, which have provided vital support to countries around the world. This will, of course, be a commercial purchase and therefore the Indian government will have to grant export clearance. Now, India has said that it would do so keeping domestic considerations in mind. The Pfizer and Moderna have reduced the number of COVID-19 vaccines that are being delivered to Canada in the month of February. Last week, Trudeau said that Canada will succeed in inoculating its population despite the disruptions in the vaccine supplies. He also went on to reiterate that every Canadian seeking a shot will be vaccinated by the end of September. Some reports have also notified that Verity Pharma and Serum Institute of India had applied to distribute licensed version of AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine in Canada. And Canada has recorded well over 20,000 deaths and more than 810,000 cases of COVID-19. Many provinces have also reimposed restrictions to combat a second wave of the pandemic. All right, now to give us more insights in terms of this request that's been put in place by the Canadian Prime Minister, we are joined in by WION Siddhant Sibil. He's joining us live on this broadcast this morning. So, Siddhant, what is the latest on this story where the Canadian Prime Minister, we're given to understand, has spoken with his Indian counterpart, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and has requested for 1 million doses of the COVID-19 vaccines?
Well, Mohammed, the big headline story from the entire conversation is the fact that both the leaders have spoken to each other, because we know what happened in December, in the month of December, when the Canadian Prime Minister had commented on the ongoing protests here in India. That had angered New Delhi, and New Delhi had strongly raised the matter both in Canada and Delhi. In fact, the Canadian envoy Nadir Patel was summoned and handed over a strong démarche telling that these kinds of comments will impact the relationship between the two countries. So the fact that after that development in December, the conversation is taking place is really significant. And of course, COVID vaccines were the top priority. India has provided vaccines to 20 countries as of now, and there are more requests commercially to countries like Brazil, to Morocco, to South Africa and Canada as well. In fact, India has got requests from every part of the world, from developing to developed countries. India, of course, produces 60% of the global vaccines. But there is also another aspect. This is what the Indian readout has been saying about the vaccine, about the COVID vaccine. The Canadian readout is also out. It is also talking about the vaccine, the cooperation when it comes to the entire vaccine distribution production, lauding New Delhi, but also saying that the Canadian Prime Minister raised the farmers' protest issue with the Indian Prime Minister. This is also significant because back home also the Canadian Prime Minister would be like to be seen as person who is standing when it comes to these protests, because he has to cater to a very large domestic constituency, a powerful, strong domestic constituency hailing from the Indian region of Punjab. So largely it looks like a balancing act both by New Delhi and by Canada. And of course the silver lining is that the conversation is continuing between the two sides.
Absolutely indeed. Thank you very much indeed, Siddhant, for joining us and getting us all those insights there.